Next case, a construction business in the Middle East. A colleague of mine and I have done considerable work in the Middle East, and so we thought we'd collaborate on writing up our observations and insights based on our experiences. Middle East is a vibrant and rich environment where, for the Western manager, everything seems to be similar at first, but then they discover that everything is quite different. To understand this in context, one needs to first understand the cultural and religious context in which is pervasive throughout the region. Business in the Middle East seldom focuses on long, medium, and short-term planning in the same sense as a typical Western manager might. Having said this, cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi have developed because of the excellent long-range vision, if you like, of the various sheikhs. The region is politically stable because the rulers have a long-term vision, and that plan extends beyond the typical politician's 4 or 8 year rule, as it is in the West. Within the well-defined macro long-term political visions and related plans, however, the typical local businesses very seldom have long-term plans. Instead, one will rather find a value proposition on which the business is based. The other unique feature to the region is the phenomenon of large family-run conglomerate businesses. These businesses usually evolved around addressing and catering for the needs of the family or the community at large, due to the fact that the region only relatively recently developed due to the spoils of oil. Western-style business structures, infrastructure, goods and services only entered the region around 30 or 35 years ago. It's therefore no surprise that these businesses have established themselves around the provision of goods and products, trading in other words, and building infrastructure like construction, civils, with a lesser focus on conventional service industries. While the region rapidly developed due to the discovery of oil and its related revenue streams, the prevailing cultural and management shift has yet to catch up, as does the legal framework. This can confuse the typical Western-trained manager into a kind of schizophrenic management diaspora, as the usual approach of planning, organizing, coordinating doesn't necessarily take place to the same measure as elsewhere. Add the fact that these countries are centrally ruled, and both the political and the typical family business, who are ruled by the patriarch, might very quickly and effectively change. Further to this, the lines between strategic and operational management is, to be diplomatic, blurred. The patriarch and family members will both be involved in the formulation of the strategy, which is usually formulated in value terms, and they will interfere substantially, significantly in the operational execution of tasks and activities. Now add another layer. The region has become, or has got to the point where the infrastructure has been developed, but the business environment is currently being challenged with lower revenues and tighter margins on the back of lower oil revenues and an increase in competition, as the region shifts from a typical construction, trading and real estate driven environment with a few players to a more competitive environment with more players, more participants, and the development, albeit slowly, of a service industry. These factors are now forcing businesses to deploy management skills in order to become more competitive through becoming more effective and efficient. This, of course, has a massive impact on the HR in the region, as new skills are needed. So managers who survive in the region are mostly able to switch effectively from formulating mostly short-term strategy on the fly to rolling up their sleeves and executing these plans operationally, working with culturally diverse teams made up of multiple nationalities and language skills. This teaches any prospective manager to very quickly not make assumptions and to be intimately involved in the execution of any task. Communication challenges and cultural interpretations are significant. No matter what the goals are, no matter what the strategy is, the manager needs to be prepared to change midstream and have alternative plans ready if the situation requires it. These managers, however, have not traditionally needed to consider effective and efficient ways to structure transactions or businesses as a whole. And kind of focus on aspects such as cost cutting and cash flow management. Well, this is, however, changing. So what have we learned? There is seldom a clear division between strategic management, like the typical corporate board or director's role, and operational management. And it's not strange to see business owners of large businesses getting involved in the day-to-day management of tasks, projects, or business units. Planning cycles, or if there are planning cycles, are very short, less than a year in fact. Communication, although formally in English as the accepted business lingua, remains challenging as the vast majority of team members will have English as perhaps their third language. The fusion of Western management practices and local cultural and religious contexts have been very successful in the past, although with the current shift towards a more efficient and effective economy, these will be further refined and will evolve.